Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
I can't hear you.
I think I had to put my mic on mute so I can yell at Madeline for a second is what it was. So
What's she do now?
Well, she's home because I was telling Vincent this a little bit ago, our guest that we're going to be bringing in here in a moment. But all my girls are sick, man. It's been like one after another. And now the first one's coming off of it. The second one's right in the thick of it. And then my third one, she's at the beginning of it. So it just never, it's like I get back from Derby and, I want to recover and just, not have any connection with any human being for a little bit. And it's just like full dad mode right into it. You know what I mean? So
you probably brought the crud home from Derby.
You know what? You're probably right, actually. Well, yeah. Although I didn't get sick, to be honest with you, like it wasn't, to be fair, I was like cooped up in a corner, like with Collins just doing some streaming for the most part. So it wasn't like I had to do.
Yeah, that was probably good. You were like, you were like quarantined.
Yeah, but unlike most years, which we'll get into Derby City here in a minute, and I was mentioning this a little bit ago before we went on air, unlike most years, schedule-wise, it was pretty good at Derby. I'll be honest with you. Like, I feel like my love for Derby, if you were going to go and measure it like in a gas tank, it was like beyond empty. Like, on that Seinfeld episode, Mike, when they're want to drive past the E, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I found the bottom of the tank, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Now my gas tank's a little bit more on the front end, so it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
Before we bring on Vincent, you watched that game last night, Mike?
As much as I could. I mean, I bailed at beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean, it was pretty obvious that New England wasn't going to score unless it was kind of garbage points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. I mean, they just Seattle looked. I just didn't know if Seattle could score enough points because their offense wasn't. I mean, New England's did too, but I could tell early on that once Seattle's defense started really finding their footing, that New England was going to have a hard time moving the ball at all, and it was even worse than I thought.
Yeah, I agree. You lasted longer than I did because as soon as he threw that first pick in the third quarter, it was a wrap for me. I was like, that's and even before then, I was like on a lifeline, up until that point because it was brutal, man. Like I love sports, Mike. I love sports, but damn, that game was rough on the eye,
Yeah, it was kind of all the field goals and a lot of punts, 3 and outs, and was not pretty. It was not aesthetically great game.
No.
I was kind of curious to see if they could pitch a shutout because nobody's ever done that. And then as soon as New England scored kind of relatively early or midway to the fourth quarter or something, that's when I turned it off. I was like, okay,
yeah,
they're not going to come win, but I'm done watching for the shutout now, so I went to bed.
To bring it to pull full circle, it was like Europe versus USA. You know what I mean? Like you just the scoring was all done. It was like 8-0,
At least Europe was playing lights out. It's not like Seattle was playing lights out offensively. I mean, they barely were moving the ball too. So it was not, it was two teams playing in the mud.
I tell you what, I had more fun during the snow game. I had more fun during the Bears playoff game. I had more fun during when was it? The Bills in who was it? Denver I think it was Bills in Denver. That game was great. I had a lot more fun during the playoffs than I did in the Super Bowl, which is like never happens, So
Yeah. Well, the Super Bowls can be boring. They can be, a lot of them have been really one-sided. I mean, it gets so much buildup. They have 2 weeks to get ready for it. One team just gets ready better than the other, and they run them out of the, in a lot of cases. There's not a lot of, real drama in a lot of Super Bowls. So, that comes with it. But nobody watches the Super Bowl for anything except halftime, anyways, right?
Well, that and the commercials, but even the commercials go on like all week long nowadays. It's like Black Friday, Monday through Wednesday now.
I think the commercials are horrible. I mean, it used to be like a real badge of honor to have a commercial on there, and the creative would always get like really out there. And they're so bad now. I even posted something. I was like, I can't believe they spend millions of dollars on their 30-second spot or 40, and it looks like they spend like a couple $100 on creative. I mean, it's just weak. No talent, no creativity. I mean, I thought that the tight end one was pretty good. But
I don't even. There was nothing that stood out like it was in years past. That's for sure. Where like it was memorable. You know what I mean? And if you're spending that kind of money, and then on top of that, I was reading somewhere where like they not only hook those companies in for the 8 to 10 million per spot to get a piece of that, like in that game, but then they also got to commit on the back end to another 8 to 10 million for a different NBC event. So they like double dip them to get them even in that prime time spots.
Leverage, man. If you got something you want to, you leverage as much out of it as you can.
Milk it while you can, I guess.
I mean, that's what the games come down to, anyways. It's it's for television. It's all about the halftime show, which draws 130 million people, and that justifies the ad rates that you ran up everybody's butt, and the game's kind of incidental from that standpoint. So that's just the way it is.
Fortunately, that game was over with by like the second quarter. Seems like so. But
yeah, as soon as they got to like 9 points, where it was going to take more than one score for New England to win the game.
You're like, that's out of reach at that point. 9-0, it was a wrap. So
yeah, it's out of reach. Nothing was out of reach.
All right, well, we got to bring in our guest, Mike. And listen, I hate to tell you this now, but now that we're live, I got to tell you, because I hope you don't have a hard out, because this show might run a little long, given all the topics to discuss today, and Derby City in particular, and then of course Vegas and the Pro Billiard Series event cycle that's been. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest, director of the Pro Billiard Series. Is that right, Vince? Did I get that right? Finally.
Yeah. I mean, I changed the title changed, but you got it right after it changed, so it's good.
Okay, good enough. We've had you on a few times, man. How are you these days?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. Back in like some decent weather, thankfully, after a long trip that was Derby City. But yeah, all in all, I can't complain. I'm looking forward to Vegas. It's been a yearly thing for you guys, and you guys are coming off a pretty successful 2025, including that Women's World 9-Ball Championship. I want to start there, though, real quick before we jump into Vegas, because tell me, you love pool, and you've been around pool for over 20 years now. What was that final like for you, seeing those two ladies battle it out the way they did?
Well, it was a great event, and the final make it even better, because it was also a rematch of the final of the World 10-Ball the year before. The format make it great because Christina could have win 4 sets, right? Everybody, even in the audience, was like, "Oh, it might be done," and you can see when CO won the 4th set, everybody's like, "Oh, we are going for a 5th set." I mean, the shootout, Christina could have won in the shootout. CO kept her composure and made the shot she had to make. I mean, great final, great storytelling about that. So top of the event with that.
Do you guys notice a spike at all from the online? Because I know, like at events, you can visually see, especially in Vegas for that matter, like you can see the league players show up during shootouts when it's time. And I don't know why that is, because there's no like siren going off or red light saying it's shootout time. But the fans are following the scoreboard enough where when the shootout is there, they're going to that table. Like, do you guys have that same spike in terms of online, or do you notice that through your viewership through YouTube?
We do. It's also the tension at the end of the match. So it's also just a match with getting tied and, you arrive to the end. I think the shootout is mostly on-site stuff on the spike aspect because they can also see other stuff. For the final, it's a little different because that's the only match, right? But no, the shootout bring people. I think it's also people are just moving around the arena and you see the movements of people, especially when you have other match going on because we had some other shootout that was pretty cool. So
what do you say, Mike?
No, I thought it was fun. It was a good event and great final match. One of the best matches of the year for sure. Leading into, like I said, a really good 2025 for the series, and really robust announcements for this number of events and where they're at and new locations and things like that. Speaking of new locations in Vegas, your first try at the Westgate. Is it going to look any different? Is it what have you noticed in terms of getting ready for the Westgate?
That's a good question.
I mean, the look is going to be different just because the hole is different, right? But the Westgate is also used to receive every pool tournaments in Vegas nowadays.
Yeah,
On the setup and everything like that, we don't see really any difference. We are going to have the same number of table, the same TV table. So we are not going to be two different rooms because there's only basically one big room, right? So the two TV table will be the same as usual, the same as Jacksonville, so side by side. So that's also going to be easier for the people to watch both at the same time. No, I mean, everybody's excited about Vegas. Vegas, with the CSI and our partner on that event, it's easy. The dates are set every year. I mean, I think the dates are set for the next 3 or 4 years already. And for 2026, I mean, the schedule is pretty set. We have every tournament announced. We have the Euro Tour that we are partnering with and sponsoring too. So I think it's a total of 15 location this year. Plus every location we do more than one events. Between the mixed double, the World Championship, the Opens that we are doing. So yeah, there's 15 locations this year with the Euro Tour. So
without getting too far ahead, because I know we want to talk about Vegas more. You announced a lot of new places: St. Louis, San Antonio, Rome, places like this, and then you go back to you're going back to Indonesia, you're going back to Vietnam.
Yep.
World 8 ball for the men is in St. Louis. World teams is in Vegas. I'm assuming women's World 9 ball, will it be in Jacksonville again?
Nope.
No. Okay. So you've got some that you haven't announced yet. You've got the women's World 9 ball. You've got the women's World 10 ball.
Yes.
Men's World 10 ball. Do you have any? Come on, give us a little taste.
Like it, Mike.
There's nothing hiding. The Women World 10 ball.
Event's going to be
the Women World 10 ball will be in Rome. So that's going to be that's going to be in Rome. The Women World 9 ball probably in Bali, Indonesia, and the Women World the Men World 10 ball will be in Vietnam with our partner over there, Box Billiard.
in Vietnam.
So,
Okay.
What did y'all do in Vietnam? Did y'all have World 10 ball last year in Vietnam? Is that where it was at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ko Ping Chung winning.
Because Zach is back-to-back finals as well. Alex playing some phenomenal pool. It's been a few years now since you guys have been to Vegas, and where it seems like it all started with the Billiard Series. I know there's a lot of changes early on when it comes to rules and format and races and things like that. Do you feel like at this point, given the successes you guys have had in terms of viewership and now starting to see this new influx of players going and supporting the events, like has the dust kind of settled in terms of format and things like that, Vince? Like, is this where Billiard Series is going to settle for the foreseeable future, you feel like?
I think for the moments, for sure. We never say never, right? We are going to change one rule this year is the 10 ball is not going to count. We are going to follow the WPA rules. So you need to pocket the 10 ball last, even for our opens. So that's one of the big change we do. But the format of the sets and winner break, and that's going to stay for now. I mean, we have a lot of partners. We see the viewership going higher. The excitement. I mean, we can speak about the final of CO and Christina. So yeah, we are not going to change. The good thing is that we still do R&D with the event. That's why we do some showdown. We are speaking about Vegas. Hi. We can speak about Vegas and the mixed double turbo, for example, is some R&D that we do on events. So we are going to still test stuff and see what we can do.
Yeah, I love the flavor of it, to be honest with you, just because of the differences that we get to see. I saw this morning where Jason's announcing he's found a partner in Cheska, which is just, how can you not love that firepower with those two? Especially haven't seen Jason play in Pro Billiard Series in quite some time, and of course the monster and the phenom that Centeno is. So, and it's like things like that I thoroughly enjoy. I love seeing just different types of players match up with one another, and you also see a different side of each player given the format, because in a race to 9, some players may be a little bit more lax game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. In race to 4, it's like you're not getting that at all. You're getting right from the jump instant pressure, so you're seeing a different kind of like attention to detail when it comes to maybe shot making, shot decisions, things like that.
And it's actually funny because the mixed double was starting as a R&D. We did a showdown in Vegas. It was 2 years ago now already.
16 teams, right? Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah, it was 16 team. We we decided to try it, and but now the mixed double is the one who is full like in 2 days. Like it's just we have a waiting list after 2 days of opening the sign up. Everybody's jumping on it, and the funny part now, you can see some team always playing the same team, but there's also some new pairing that are pretty interesting for St. Louis. That's going to be pretty interesting.
How many teams?
32.
Okay. Do you guys hold back any spots, or can any random player get in? Like if Mike was to put on a wig, would we be able to team up? You know what I mean?
That will not pass, but that's an open. Everybody can sign up. So as soon as we open registration, everybody can sign up.
Yeah.
So it's not like we are holding some spots sometime because we do a world championship at the same time.
Right.
So we have to reserve for some spot, but it's not. We don't reserve that many spot, guys. So it's an open. Everybody can sign up, and we might try to open the field when we go to San Antonio to see if we can have more players, because there's a lot of people who are interested to play the mixed double too. But yeah, it's not invitational anymore. It's an open, so everybody can sign up if you sign up on time, and that will also be interesting to see because some of the pros, sometimes wait last minute. It's full. Nothing we can
Americans, he's talking to you, Americans. No, yeah, listen, I think it's cool, man. But that is the catch-22 of it, because like come the announcement, then you start seeing posts from players like Sky was posting, trying to find, a doubles partner, Jason as well. So like we want to see, these top players get in as well. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing amateurs, and you never know, a Cinderella may come out given the format. And traditionally, Pro Billiard Series always lent itself to like upsets, like the underdog, so to speak, can go out and win outright. I feel like it initially, maybe at the end, the cream kind of rises to the top.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. At the end, we see the best player winning, right? We didn't really see any big surprise, but it's good to see surprise on the first few rounds. To some upset. But yeah, we see those. We want to see those players play too, but they are not in the loop yet to find those partners early. So that's why they are trying to figure out who to play with, because most of the women already played with some other player before, so they want to pair with the same people or anything like that. So, but there's some interesting pairing for St. Louis.
Even interesting pairings for Vegas as well, because I saw, you mentioned the world teams. We didn't get to see it last year. It was by far, for me anyway, when it comes to y'all's events, like the most dynamic final up until that Christina and Seau ending, right? And both of them ended in shootouts. But when Pia drains that spot shot to win the world teams, and I think that was the first time y'all had even done it to that point, if I'm not mistaken. finally
Yep.
seeing it back. And then now through social media, and now through your guys' social media posts as well, you got 2 American teams. Talk to me about that, because is USA the only one getting it because we're getting 2 teams because it's here in the States,
Yeah,
or
because
how is
it's in
that
the
going to work
US.
out going forward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why USA have 2 teams, because we go in a country where there is, usually that's what we do. Some country we couldn't do it because of not necessarily the number of players, and that's what we did when we go to Puerto Rico, USA and Puerto Rico's team. This year we have the luxury to have 2 USA team and 1 Puerto Rican team. But yeah, usually when we go to a country and we do a world championship, they have 2 team on a team aspect.
What do you got, Mike?
No, it's good. I'm looking forward to that too. We missed last year, and it's a great event. It's a fun event.
We changed the format a little bit, though. I don't know if you guys are aware, but
what is it?
In what way?
Yeah.
On the lineup, like how the match is being played. So we changed a little bit of that.
Help refresh my memory if you can, Vincent.
So you used to have a lot of singles in that team match, right? So we decided to go more like with more people playing together. So the first set would be all of the 3 players playing 1 rack each. So the lineup is whatever you want. So you can have a woman play against a man depending on the lineup of the 2 teams. The second match will be a men double, or sorry, a same-sex double, because we can have a team with 2 women if they want to.
Okay.
So we'll have the same-sex double. We'll have a mixed double, right? And if we need to go to the 4th sets, it's going to be a single. But the person playing the single cannot have played the 2 double.
Oh, so it's got to be somebody from, I guess, the first set then. So they would have had to have sat out that. That's interesting. I like that.
So we add some strategy in it. And of course, if we go to a 5 set, it's going to be the shootout. But we add some strategy to it. So, for the team who have a great, a Josh Fedor or SVB or all of those Jason Show, they have that, okay, we have that guy to close the set in 4 sets. But that's also mean you need to play the mixed double with someone else. So that's going to be an interesting strategy part.
I don't want to be that guy, but there's a lot of these guys in pool. But I'm gonna throw it out there. The only thing I would say is, because everyone's got the best idea for somebody else's event, maybe like a Scotch triples, and throw them all out there to the wind and see how that dynamic can go and do. But I do love seeing those differences for sure. The SVB Sky and Savannah one, I'm pumped about. I just saw a strong, what was it, like a Netherlands team get announced, I think, with Pongers and Marco Tucher, and that one is a big time sleeper in my opinion, because those Europeans play tough. But I love seeing those different things, Mike. And even the USA Team B, I think it's, what was it, Sophia, Tyler, and Oscar, so Tyler's got an anchor of a 10-ball break. So just a lot of fun things to look forward to when it comes to that event here coming up here in a few weeks.
Have there been any challenges, or when you get into a WPA event like this, the federations start to get involved in terms of player selection, and we know not all the top players are in sync with their particular federations. Did that present any problems for you guys this year? Any opportunities you thought top players maybe didn't get a spot because the federations favored someone who's playing more domestically?
Yeah, I mean, there were challenges, but basically the ruling was one of the player needs to be top of their WPA ranking. So, one of the women or men needs to be.
Okay. So the federation couldn't pick the entire team.
I mean, one of them was required to be top of WPA ranking, women or men, but doesn't mean that we forced them, because most of them will have choose one anyway.
Right.
So that was the only requirement from us and from the WPA. So, and you can see that there's also a lot of teams bringing more than 3 athletes. So, we have Taiwan bringing 5. So
talk to me about that for a second, Vince, because is that something that like the teams get to decide, or how is that dictated? Because because the prize fund's still the same. If I win with 3 or if I win with 5, I'm chopping it up. And from a pool player standpoint, chopping it up 5 ways versus 3 is a pretty big difference.
It's a federation discussion. Okay. The minimum is 3 to be able to play. The maximum is 5. I mean, there is no team event that I know that doesn't have like a player on the side that can jump in if something happened to another player. So that's where we came out with that. Poland did that for the men world, table men, because you never know what can happen, right? I mean, look at Josh Fedor at the Derby, food poisoning, and he had to cancel 1 match. Or forfeit 1 match. What do you do
matter.
if
he didn't need 2 bullets? Josh, you see the way he was breaking balls?
It doesn't matter for him because it's single, but if he plays with the German team and there's nobody to play.
Smart, from that standpoint.
Yeah, so and you never know, someone can feel not good that day or focus on the other tournaments. So that's an option we offer to the federation. That's not a requirement, but you can have up to 5 players.
Well, let me tell you, what's that?
There's also a difference between U.S. pool and pool around the rest of the world. U.S. no one's picking 4. They're not chopping it up 4 ways. They're not chopping it up 4 ways. It's like 3, and if I got to walk in on a gurney, I'll shoot on a gurney.
Yeah, I'll say if I was on Team Germany and Josh gets sick, I'm going and renting a gurney and rolling his ass out there, and we're gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? I'll take a 30% filler over 100% some other players any day of the week. You know what I mean?
One foot on the floor.
Yeah. You get a break, right? You get a 5-minute break every set, so you're good.
Right.
What other events? You guys have a mixed doubles event, the teams event, and then a women's open.
Street pool challenge.
Oh yeah,
we have a men's open, women open, straight pool showdown, junior open, and the world team in the mixed double turbo. Was this one a showdown? Like it's not an open. We invited the players to try out.
What is it? Which one is it?
Mixed double turbo.
It's a doubles. It's a doubles thing, but not an open field doubles. It's just kind of
It's a 20-second shot clock double.
20-second shot clock. So you're just throwing them out there.
How many teams? How many teams are you going to do in that?
8 teams.
8. Okay.
Like I said at the beginning, we are going to start to keep doing R&D with events, see what we can do. Like that's part of it. Like to see how we can. Because, we also realize that the mixed double, I mean, sometimes we have match 3 sets who can go for 3 or 4 hours, and that's not something we can really have during event when we have a schedule to follow.
Sure.
So, just testing R&D, see how the fan reacts, see how the player react. We have some interesting pairing to put the players in a position that they are not used to, but see how it goes and make it interesting.
I dig it, man. Personally, I think that's a sport-wide issue is the pace of play at times, and it's not to take away from anybody's greatness because certain players are great, but I think what you will see is that if it gets any kind of traction, is you'll start seeing different players kind of step up in that format. And don't get me wrong, Josh will always be Josh, but he's a great feel player and really natural and can rely on his shot making, and he processes things real quickly. But like other players are just notoriously slow, and I mean like real slow. You know what I mean? So I'd love to. I'm sure I'd love to see a little bit of heat on him from the jump, because it's like you're going to start seeing, I think, just different types of players step up. SVB is a field player. I'd love to see him kind of get in that mix as well. Where guys with rhythm, Kelly, quick fire for a reason you call her, and just people like that who can thrive under a 20-second shot clock. So I'm in. Throw them out there. Turn up the heat.
That's the goal.
So talk to me.
Who was the driving force behind the straight pool? It seemed kind of like an odd one to throw in there for what you guys usually do.
I mean, do you mean the ID or just the?
Yeah. Someone had to say we should do a straight pool.
Well, we showed a lot of one pocket and banks, and we are going to still showing that the banks mostly in St. Louis. Um, I think straight pool is one of the best game. I mean, when I started playing in Europe, that was one of the game you practice by yourself. The US, mostly the Northeast, I play with Danny Barudi, Mika, Torsten, like all of those great straight pool player. And I think straight pool, when it's played at the best level, it's can be super entertaining and you can learn a lot. So I was just trying to showcase that game, and the idea was also to bring maybe player who are not like Jason or Fedor and stuff like that, and see a 150 and out or 175 and out, but more like see the way Darren used to do 200, like when he won the straight pool in New York, right? But just showcase every game that we play. We showcase. I mean, I think we showcase every game, right? 9 ball, 10 ball, straight pool, bank. So that was the idea of that.
Who's on that card? It's John and Darren.
John Schmidt and Darren.
Yeah.
Look, I love Darren. Don't get me wrong, love Darren. But maybe a Jason versus John would have been a little bit more. Get some popcorn ready. You know what I mean? And then furthermore, get and mic them up on top of that. Get them both in there and throw a mic on.
I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah. You put a mic on John Schmidt, you don't know where that's going.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Darren used to play straight pool, like, and great. I think the general aspect of the two is also interesting. Because if I put Jason in that, like, I'm not saying it's not fair, but one is a full-time player and the other one is not.
That's a good point. I can see that. Yeah. I can see that.
The idea is not to put like anybody like an execution, right? The idea is to showcase the game and to showcase the player and stuff like that. And I mean, John beat the record when he was like, I don't know how many years, but you still have that in him. And Darren, like I said, straight pool in New York City, 200. So
a lot going on in Vegas, but also an announcement this past week, Vincent, of St. Louis on the board, World 8-ball. How did that come about as far as getting another world championship in that part of the country? We just had the women's in, Green Bay, Mike? And then now we got the men's happening out there in St. Louis.
So we are actually bringing 4 world championship in the US this year. So just so you guys are aware.
World team,
World 8-ball.
So are you doing
World team, World 8-ball,
juniors,
and World juniors, and the World junior are going to do World 9-ball and World 10-ball for the juniors. So when they travel around the world, they can play 2 world championship. So we are going to add
one in Austria. One of the juniors going to be in Austria.
No, both in San Antonio.
Both in San Antonio.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's why I said we are bringing 4 world championship in the US.
Yeah.
It's tough. It was also tough for the junior to travel to play 1 world championship. So we decided to add 1. So at least when they travel around the world, like I said, going to New Zealand, going to destination like that, they can have the option. They can have the opportunity to play 2 world championship. So.
So 2 world championships in the same week for the juniors. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure the parents love that. They get a lot of bang for their buck, and Lord knows when you got those kind of expenses, when you're traveling multiple people at a time, all that adds up for sure.
Yeah.
I saw Bergman listed on that flyer when you guys posted it. Is that a commitment? Is that 100% a go for Justin playing out there? I know he doesn't like to travel a whole lot. Obviously, he's in St. Louis, but
I don't think he's traveling too much for that one. No, I spoke with Justin. So we do the World 8-ball, we do a mixed double, we do a women open, and we do a bank pool master showdown. So we're also bringing the bank pool. He's invited in the bank pool, and he already said yes. And we do have wild card, available. It would be terrible to not invite Justin Bergman when he's playing in St. Louis, right? So
of course.
It's really great to see him play, again. So yeah.
What is St. Louis and San Antonio going to be like Vegas, Vincent? Because if I'm in Vegas, or at least I was at the Rio, I walk into the Rio, I can go to the TV table and go catch a seat. I'm not paying for tickets to get in there. It's really affordable in that regard. What's it going to cost me to get through the door in St. Louis and in San Antonio?
Nothing. Listen, we want more people to watch pool. We want more people to enjoy pool. We want more people to go play in the pool room. So our stream are free. Our entry to tournaments is free. Like there is no doors anywhere. So come watch in Vegas, St. Louis, San Antonio, Europe, Asia. Like it's free.
Come and watch.
I like it. It's
Yeah.
hard. Even Mike can go and get in there. You know, but depending on his attitude over the next couple of months, you never know.
I still get charged.
Yeah.
No, everything is
one way or
free.
the other,
It was actually really good in Jacksonville. How many people showed up and watched? And yeah, everything is free. YouTube is free. BRTV is free. Like no payroll.
Jacksonville was kind of a late announcement last year. Vincent, do y'all guys have anything that you're kind of keeping close to the vest that may get announced later on this year, or is the calendar what it's going to be for 26?
No, the calendar is preset. We're already working on 2027 because we need to have those dates out for the players because there's also more tournaments happening. But it's also because you don't find a venue 3 weeks or 3 months in advance. So we are working on 2027 already. 2026 is pretty much set. We are going to do some announcement of which tournaments is where. And
Sure.
the prize money, we also raised the prize money by 20% compared to last year overall. So all of the World Championship are more money. All of the Opens have more
That's
money.
great.
Yeah, so we are not going nowhere. I mean, the
Is that for the whole series, or is that like event by like for every
whole
like?
series.
Okay, that's awesome, man.
All
Yeah.
of our singles Open have raised by 20%, and all of the World Championship too. Or we also raised the money on the Euro Tour. So yeah, like I said, we are here to grow the sports. We want more people to play pool and watch pool.
Do you think that from and without knowing y'all's business or numbers or anything like that, do you think that your viewership will increase in the next couple of years if the quality of talent starts to increase that we're seeing with this event in Vegas, this event in St. Louis? No disrespect to anyone who's played y'all events, last year or whatever, but there was a lot of players who weren't out there that I'm starting to see on the players list in these upcoming events.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the better the player, the best the show is, right? And that's
Sure.
what people wants to see. I mean, you guys spoke about the game yesterday. Same thing, right? If there is excitement, people are going to watch.
Yeah.
So that's also why we do R&D on events. That's also why we bring other discipline and we educate people on that. We are going to do open wheelchair para sports this year too, because that's part of our community. We need to show that, and we need to that when you are handicapped, you can actually play pool because it's not shown. We did that in Vegas last year. Once again, R&D, we show a wheelchair match, and now we are going to probably do an open wheelchair in Rome and one in San Antonio. So starting with R&D with event like that, and we can bring after that open and even more in the future. So,
And they got great
seeing those
stories in their
players
own
back
right.
is great.
Yeah. I had Heinrich on and Hydrid on the show a while back, and they had great stories in their own right, and maybe it was great speaking with them, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, Henrik is actually leading the way for parasport at the WPA right now. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done, and we need to showcase those players.
When do your events kick off in Vegas, Vince? And how can people check it out online?
February 18. Online,
9 days.
ProBR. Yes. Thanks for the reminding.
Yeah, that's right around the corner, man. When do you get out there?
Yeah, 16. I have a great team that can start the setup before I arrived and everything like that. So I think the setup start actually Thursday or Friday this week. So because there's also the CSI setup with more than 400 table, and that's their 50.
Right, yeah.
That's their 50 year of doing that event. So that's going to be a big one.
Is the fan experience from the house going to be any different, Vince? What I mean by that is, like, are we still going to get live scoring? Are we still going to can players stream on their own social media channels if they're not on TV table, things like that?
Same thing. We are trying to add a third TV table. That's why we tested in Jacksonville, just a stationary, third TV table. long term, my goal is to have 4. So at least when we have quarterfinal, they are all, available for everybody. You don't have one player who has to stream it. But yeah, everything the same. If you're not on TV table, you can stream live score on our website, free on YouTube to watch, free on Billiard TV. So all the same.
What do you got, Mike? Before we get Vincent on out of here.
No, it's a lot of stuff going on. It's good to see more events in the U.S. What's the venue in San Antonio? Can you share that?
It's the Grand Hyatt on the riverfront.
Very nice.
Is that by the airport?
We are. No, it's downtown.
Riverwalk.
Yeah,
Riverwalk.
it's the same as St. Louis. We had the Arch in St. Louis. Like that's why people don't realize too. Like,
that's so great. Man.
We had some player complaining maybe of the price of the room and stuff like that, but we are also in downtown of those cities. Like, and San Antonio downtown in November. Trust me, it's pretty nice. I mean, Mike can speak about it too, but you have the riverfront, you have the boat ride you can do.
So many things are right there. Like when you go to bigger cities like that, that's one thing. When you're cooped, like, don't get me wrong, when you don't know any better other than being cooped up in a casino, like that's just all you know. But like when you get to bigger cities like San Antonio, you talk about the Riverwalk. I mean, there's so much culture in such a small area, and so many things to do, and it's family friendly, it's adult friendly, it's whatever friendly, all right there. Great food, great restaurants, great shopping if you want to do it, an easier airport to get into, and I'm not saying it because I'm, it's 2 hours from me, but November, November in San Antonio ain't bad, especially, you'll get 70-degree days, where it's just, it's nothing. So even the outside part of it's going to be great alongside of that. So yeah, believe me, I ain't mad at you for having an event in San Antonio, buddy. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So Vincent, I appreciate your time. We're going to do a Derby City recap. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'd love to get you on again, talking about Vegas, maybe afterwards, and jumping on into more stuff when it comes to St. Louis. You're always welcome to come on the show, man. And I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I had to make my own coffee this time.
I know. Yeah. Listen, we always meet up. We always meet up at this Vietnamese coffee shop here in town, and it ain't like being in Vietnam, but nothing will be like Vietnam. But it's a nice little taste of it, at least down here in South Texas. But next time, for sure, we're getting our asses back over there to the Vietnamese shop. No doubt about it. All right, Vincent. Cool. I appreciate you, my man. We'll see you later,
guys.
brother.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
Good.
Well, Mike, pretty good, huh? What do you say?
Yeah, no, it's a lot going on this year. They're really stepping up the game and bringing more events. I love that there's events in the U.S. Some, not the typical cities, not everything in Vegas, not everything in Florida, not everything in Atlantic City, whatever. St. Louis, San Antonio. I mean, I like the idea that they're downtown. St. Louis downtown is not the same as San Antonio downtown, but it's a little dead down. When you get downtown St. Louis, but it's still it's a great city. A lot of things to do.
Get you some barbecue, man. I'm sure they got some good food in that right around there. I only fly into St. Louis about once a year for junior nationals, but this is the other thing that I love about where these events are being held, because it's like I'll fly into Philly to go to Atlantic City. So I got to go into Philly, rent a car, and then I'm going to Atlantic City. I got to fly into St. Louis to go to wherever the hell Junior Nationals was, But at least this time you're flying into you're flying into an airport and you're staying like right there. You're staying pretty close by.
Well, you got St. Louis will be the first week of April, so you can walk over to see a baseball game at St. Louis right downtown.
Hey. Listen, if you're going to be there, let's go
freeze your ass. You freeze your ass off, but you can
in April. It ain't hot in April yet?
St. Louis. Well, no, it's not hot. I mean, you won't have to shovel snow like you do in Chicago in April. But that first week in St. Louis, you're not wearing short sleeves to the baseball game. I don't think.
Well, I'm in just for the experience, if nothing else. I love. Actually, I got to go to Dallas in April for opening day of the Rangers. Take my aunt. So I'm pumped for that. But listen, I love baseball. I don't care. Give me a day game. I'm good with it. So, although the warmer, the better.
I'm wondering if
What's it?
the Cardinals are out of town that first week in April, because if you were able to book a whole hotel on opening days of baseball season in downtown St. Louis, the Cardinals are probably not at home, right?
Yeah. It's a good point. That's a good point. We got to do some cross referencing here pretty soon and get that lined up. Mike, let's jump on into Derby City. We're already 45 minutes in, and I'm pumped for this part of the show, if I'm being honest with you. Tell me you watched
I can tell.
some of Derby City, man.
Well, Derby City, I wasn't down there this year.
Right.
I'm glad one of us was down there, and I'm also glad it wasn't me. But
yeah, appreciate it, buddy.
But
yeah,
it was, there were some interesting stories. I mean, Josh obviously was, story of the week as far as, his run through the 9-ball after, almost missing his first match because of the time change, schedule change last second, and then having to miss his second match, and then just blasting everybody and setting, land speed records while doing it. That's pretty impressive stuff. And go ahead.
Going for the three-peat, Mike, is pretty special, and I didn't even realize that going into it. I completely just slipped away from me because I was too engaged in mash at the table and things like that following the event. But what Josh is able to do out there in that format is like he's in his own class, and it's not even there's nobody really.
It's not like he saved himself for 9-ball. I mean, he played other events as well. And so, for a guy like that, then to just, be blasting through these matches in 35, 40 is just ridiculous. I mean, nobody even got close to him till the final.
No, I mean, even, Fedor jumps up on him 2-0, and that's, and it's crazy because, Fedor's the guy, Fedor's always, and he's the guy in Derby City, and so, but even then, even then, it never felt like he was in a good spot, because as soon as you give Josh a look, it's like, oh, fuck, you just kind of feel like he's going to do it, and he did it, back to back to back. I mean, the way that he was stomping through those guys, Mike, 9-2 over, what was it, Shane, 9-0 over Shane, 9-2, I think, over Fedor or something like that. I mean, he was just destroying, and it was all top 3 or bust, the big 3 or bust. But to go about it the way that he did consistently, and he makes it look like you're playing Shane on a valley, that's how let him rack the balls, breaks, run. I mean, rinse and repeat, Mike.
Right.
But when you see it, against those two guys in particular, in Fedor and Shane, it adds something a little different. And that's something that and there's a lot of stories about Derby that we're going to get into, but what Josh was able to do was remarkable. And there was a lot of rumblings, as he bowed out of his, whatever it was, second or third round matchup, why did he dip out and blah, blah. And Josh, I don't even bother reaching out to him anymore because, I've been on the shit list since that whole World 8-ball fallout. You know what I mean? But I didn't know what the story was. I didn't know if he, was if both of them were just going to dip out of the event early, which is not like them, not like the fillers at all. Or if it was something more. And then later on, I think it was the next day or whatever, they finally post on social media about him having food poisoning, which, let me tell you something, man, in that regard, the food there at Caesars, Indiana, is always bad. And I mean, always, 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 always bad. But this year it was worse than ever. I feel even though the pizza place was open, which ain't never been open in all the years I've been there, just the options, and it's bad food. And then when you pair that up with getting snowed in the way that we were, because then on top of that, not only could we not go anywhere, really, not that we were going to go anyway, because of schedule, but the employees couldn't make it into work. So even then, the options were even more limited because the employees couldn't get in to go and support like the food court area. Does that make sense, Mike? So,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed Derby City a lot more this year than I have in years past. But damn, man, that food option was awful, dude. I mean, just fucking awful. That's the only part that can tell me. But even when Josh posts about being out because of the food poisoning, I think he's done with the tournament. And then he shows back up to one of his matches and just does what Josh does. And okay, third round, fourth round, okay, sure, you expect him to dominate, whatever. But the way that he finished, like, was some of the best 9-ball that I've seen, and not for nothing, but there was a lot of not so subtle changes in those tournaments that I felt like we're trying to even the playing field some, jump cues, making it a WNT box versus the way that it was a couple of years ago, where his break was even more dominant a couple of years ago, because it was like a modified type of a break box, and just little things like that, Mike. And for Josh to still go out there and be as dynamic and compelling and a finisher was just incredible. Like nobody was gonna get close to him, and nobody did get close to him, especially there towards the tail end, Mike.
And then coming, you talk about being sick and coming back from food poisoning, things like that. It looked like, and I'm seeing more of this from Josh on social media. It looks like he was having fun doing it.
Winning?
It was kind of like I was hungry. Not just doing it in like 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And racing off to get his little meal, or he was late for dinner or whatever it was, just kind of having fun with it. And it was like he was challenging himself from one match to the next to do better, faster, whatever than the previous match. It was like, this game that he was playing with himself. He certainly wasn't playing the game with anybody else.
He was a bully, man. He was a bully through and through. And I'm just assuming here, but I'd guess that maybe there were probably a couple of guys that didn't love the fact that he was pointing out that he's winning in 30 minutes. But I love stuff like that, Mike. I love throw a little jab when you can. I love that, dude. Because and it's not like you're not beating up on some like 550 in 20 minutes when everybody knows it. That is something different, and especially when now granted he went out early in the one pocket, right, which nobody expected. Eric Roberts got a great win on him, and I think he loses to like Roland Garcia, which is a big trap match as well. But so maybe that with the day off, maybe he was a little bit more fresh than others. But to be at the end of Derby and then still have that type of gas in the tank, to be able to perform like that. And the schedule was great, by the way. Like Bad Boys did a great job, and with digital pool and just the way that they planned everything out each and every day. We weren't in TBD hell like there had been years before, So it was a little bit easier in that aspect, but still the way that he was able to finish out that event that way, especially after the early exit in one pocket, when you there's always this like knee-jerk reaction, Mike, to like, I don't want to say write anybody off, but is Fedor not Fedor anymore? Is he not the same guy anymore? And we have that, like he wins the UK Open last year and then disappears through at the beginning of the year or the middle of the year. And then, is he not the same guy anymore? And then all of a sudden he puts you on notice all over again with the performance like Derby on a standard diamond with a rack template, a Federer rack template. Nobody can touch that guy. Nobody. Like he's in his own world, and he was through the better part of each and every one of those matches, Mike.
Yeah, no, everything was lined up right for him, and we even saw it, during Mosconi. When you watched him during the year and then watched Mosconi, it's like, oh yeah, he's Josh. He's Josh.
Well, he reminds you a little bit, and sometimes like because we do kind of get Monday morning quarterback after one of these big events, And listen, I wasn't in love with the field at Derby going into it, but it didn't take away from like the lack of stories leaving it, and so, but even still, like what he was able to do, he just kind of let everybody know all over again, like, hey man, I'm still that guy. You know, I am still that guy. And like I said, what he's able to do under those conditions is special, man. And it didn't, like I said, the lack of players, and we were mentioning this with Vincent, like it can dilute your excitement and expectation levels when it comes to an event.
Yeah.
And certainly, like when I started seeing some of the players on this list, I was like, man, come on, this is going to be like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, Mike. I was like, man, why am I even going with a player field like this? You know, because I want to see big boys go and play. You know, and I'm used to seeing a lot of them, especially at Derby. But man, like those players who were there, even the Meglinos and Hennessy's, and you know, Fedor, finally getting like the Derby Grand Slam out there. You know, it's like there was so Hayden, which we're gonna get to here in a second. There was so many little storylines, Mike, within Derby that just makes it the event that it is. And on that note, Mike, I want to jump into the kid here for a second because I wasn't in love with the idea of kids being out there at Derby City. I feel like there's like this dynamic of pool players that I don't love the idea of these kids getting exposed to, you know, and I was vocal about, you know, me not being interested in seeing kids out there. Um, Luckily though, there was still some separation with that because the casino had their own entrance and blah, blah, blah. And then the Omega room was back past that wall as well. But what that kid Hayden was able to do, Mike, I don't know if you saw him, and I don't know if you saw that match with Shane. He went deep in the banks, which not a lot of people would have predicted. Gave Shane all that he could handle. Not through the first like 7 games, but 7 games on, gave Shane all that he could handle and then some. Tell me what you saw about that kid and what his ceiling is realistically like.
Well, I mean, it's certainly. I don't know that I've seen him enough to really know what his ceiling is to be able to analyze his game type of thing. But you know, he certainly is testing himself and not shying away from opportunities. So you know, to see him battle guys, push them hard, show that he can hang in there. You know, we've seen a lot of kids, young players, get to this point. You know, it's pushing beyond it. That, you know, you just have to wait and see whether it happens or not. You know, we've seen him up and kind of, like I said, we've seen him get to this point. I want to see where he goes from here. I mean, he's still so young. I mean, holy crap. So yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of people really high on him. Going to be interesting.
I think he's a real deal, man. And I've been high on this kid for a little while now. Great support system along with him, with his dad and the grandparents and all that too. And there's always like these feel good stories when you watch kids go and play. To some extent, there's always like, as a father, you just it's close to the heart, man. You know. But then it's different when you start looking from the lens of like, what do you do on the pool table, you know? And that's when it's tough to like separate as we start seeing this influx of juniors, and then they turn into like older teenagers, and then they start playing in world events, right? Because you're not judging them as like as a little kid anymore, right? You're judging them as a player to some extent, and or to every extent, right? But what he was able to do out there at Derby was insane. You know, I know he's from the banking part of the country, and even that Banks run was sound. Beats Justin Hall in the one pocket on TV table, which, by the way, Justin Hall is a bad MF playing one pocket, but he's played a lot of pocket on TV table there at Derby too, you know. And then that match, you kind of saw him like just shed his wings, so to speak, Mike. And we've seen so many top players get like they get scared of the light of playing a guy that they idolize, right, Mike? We talked about this with every great player. We talked about this with Chua before playing Copigny. I mean, you can name players, you know what I mean? But what he was able to do at the beginning of that match, he was very much in awe, like it seemed like anyway, he was very much like in awe of playing against Shane. And then once he kind of got down 7-0 and just said, the hell with it, and just went out there and played his game, Mike, let me tell you, that kid's game on a 4.5-inch pocket table was as good as anybody that I've seen from that point on. And if he can realistically keep that same mindset going into matches going forward, that kid's ceiling is as high as he wants to be. Because He's got a lot of poise under pressure. He can hit big shots. He's not bad with his break with 9-ball isn't bad at all. He's great with the short stick. Makes very smart decisions. His all around game is phenomenal. Having like being in Kentucky, you know, and knowing one pocket and knowing Banks the way that he does. And we talked about rhythm before when it comes to Josh. That kid's got a great rhythm in his own right, Mike. You know, like he is fast and good on the eye and exciting to go and see. And then he's kind of like blossomed, blossomed personality wise into like, you know, being the young man that he is. Cause I remember the first time I talked to him, he probably didn't say but 3 words, you know, it's very, very like Shane like in that regard, ironically enough, you know, but once he knows you and gets a little more comfortable with you, and gets used to like the whole, you know, pool scene limelight, so to speak, man, Mike, I am excited for the future of where that kid's going to be at. I think he's got Mosconi Cup talent written all over him, at least in the next 3 years max, I would say. Serious, Mike. Well, I said I said this before because of the lack of performance when it comes to the Americans just in the last few years. I would put him on the fast track already, you know. But even just from like taking his game in a vacuum, and of course you're going to compare it to the competition, right? Because if he was going up against Europeans, it's a different conversation. Like in the European junior circuit, it would be a different conversation, I would say, you know. But I think he's a real deal, Mike.
We'll see. We'll see if he gets his shots in these World Junior Championships.
Yeah.
You know, have a goal. You know, they got the 9 and the 10 ball there in San Antonio, so it'd be nice to see him in there. You know, the top juniors from Europe are going to be there. You know, it's going to be, you know, solid field. So, you know, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I want to see him more. I like getting this small sample size against that type of competition is great, but I want to see more, you know, and I'm excited to see more because I feel like it's going to just only serve him well. And if you don't think so, go look at how Savannah Easton's gone and performed after playing the WPBA circuit and the world circuit over the last 2 years, you know, and the monster that she already is. But yeah, man, I'd listen, give me those two. Matter of fact, in like a junior Scotch double type team thing, I'm in. I'll paint the face red, white, and blue. You mentioned 9-2 over Oscar, and I talked to Oscar right after that match. Oscar in private, Oscar was like, "Kid played perfect. What am I going to do?" You know, like, and he, I mean, he said that very like giving the kid a lot of love and respect. You know, yeah, and not just as like a junior player, but like as a fellow competitor. You know what I mean? And so, when you start getting respect like that, and I saw, you know, Shane's comment on his post a few days afterwards talking about how he performed out there. It's like, man, he's coming. He is coming. He's on the horizon, and everybody better be on notice because he's a special talent. Mike is that kid. If he can play, like I said, the way that he did on that back half of that Shane match, look out because I honestly believe like he would have had a pretty decent chance at beating Shane outright in that match because he had a couple of good looks early where I feel like he just couldn't get out of his own way because the moment. But man, once he let that go, and you just see it, man, and when you see it with players where they get swallowed up by the moment, that kid embraced it. He was thriving and just blew up, man. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. All right. On the note, we mentioned Fedor a little bit ago, Mike, when we were talking about some of these events. He gets the Bigfoot monkey off his back finally, Mike, but not the Fedor performance that we were hoping for Derby Series. We've come to expect from him over the last few years. How many players? Maybe, and I probably should have asked you this before we went on, but how many players have gotten that Derby City Grand Slam like the way that he's gotten? Because now, after winning Bigfoot, he's won everything, right? Like there ain't one.
Bigfoot wasn't around in the earlier days, so you know, as far as 9-ball, one pocket, and Banks, I think there's only 2.
Is that right? Who is it?
I'm trying to.
I'd imagine Shane's got to have. Does Shane have a one pocket banner or a Banks banner?
That's what I'm not sure. I don't think Efren had 9-ball.
That's why I should have probably asked you this before we went on air and do a little bit of research before. But
Well, I looked at it before too, but my memory's not worth a shit. But
either way, though, like what that kid's done out there, on home court in that environment over the last few years has been something incredible in its own right.
Yeah.
And see, Jenny Ann says Filler won 9-ball bank, Bigfoot, and match table in 24. So then, yeah, he would have won it. Oh, he hasn't won a one pocket, has Josh then? Because I mean, like now with Fedor winning Bigfoot, he's won every banner you can get at Derby. He's won match the table. He's won 9-ball, won Bigfoot, and he's won what is it, bank?
I always look at Derby as 9-ball bank, pool, and one pocket because even the Bigfoot, it's only
it's invitational only.
Sure. It's whatever. But you know what? I think Efren was Efren won. He won 9-ball and he won one pocket, of course. I'm not sure. I don't think Efren ever won banks.
Nomad says Derby 9-ball in 05. Yeah, it's just like being able to achieve that is something real special is what I was getting at with Fedor. And I know like his overall like rotation game isn't necessarily the best on earth these days, or at least by his own standards anyway. But I think he's the best 10-ball breaker with a template rack on planet Earth right now. Because he was.
I think he's the only one that's won all three.
Is he in Fedor?
It's won the main three.
Yeah,
that one pack.
See, to me, that's more special than that dusty ass thing they made up with Matchroom. Where they were the door slam. You know what I'm saying? Like at least this one's got some like.
Efren played all those years, never won banks. Shane's played all these years, he's never won banks. Winning all three, I'm pretty sure Fedor's the only one.
That's pretty sick then. That's something that's like, it's already a cool thing to be up in the ceiling with all the greats, you know what I mean? Up in the rafters with everybody and your photo is up there with the legends of the game. And that's one thing about Derby that I just love is that arena, even though the casino in and of itself is brutal, but the way that arena is, Mike, it's just like it reminds me of sports. It reminds me of like going to a baseball game or a basketball game and seeing like the championship banners and the numbers retired and all these things. You know what I mean? And Derby's the one place where we get that. And what that kid's able to do out there is just pretty sick. I mean, and even from an Ironman standpoint, like the dude's, it's like what Jason does at the expo, except, 3 times as long because Derby is, Derby's never ending. You know what I mean? But as far as like working a booth, doing the social stuff, going out there and playing your matches and then playing every discipline on top of that, like it's the nuttiest thing. And even at that, what is Fedor, like 25, something like that ish, 24,
Yeah.
So to be at that kind of like level of dominance is pretty remarkable, Mike. You know what I mean? Especially at that young of age.
Yeah, no, he's pretty comfortable at Derby City.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And what's crazy? Like when you start appreciating sports, like when you start seeing like transitions of generational type athletes, like it's hard to appreciate them in the moment. Like because you're remembering what was, you're still appreciating what is, but then it's like you don't want to prematurely crown anybody too soon. Like that kid's just that kid's cementing an already great legacy with what he's able to do out there, and seeing those two guys like Dignomad says, Fedor and Feller, those are the matches that I look forward to every year, especially because they're both young and both in their prime, and even their Banks match didn't disappoint for that matter neither. You saw both of them have a little bit of rattle in their arm. I don't know if you got to check out that match, but they both left up some layups there in that bank match as well. Jenny Ann says Shane Van Boney is the only player known to have won all 4 major Derby City Classic disciplines, one pocket banks, 9-ball and Bigfoot. Well, there you go. So I guess he's only in Shane's. It's only him and Shane then, no? By that statement.
When did Shane win banks?
I don't know. I'm not without looking at it.
I don't think Shane's ever won banks.
it was yeah, I have to go back and check we can Wikipedia it, Mike, or maybe Jenny Ann will Google it for us.
I don't think Shane has ever won
But
banks.
where's his rotation game at these days, though, Mike? When it comes to Fedor, because he's not the Fedor that we saw, over that 18-month span, 12-month span, whatever it is, and even his like world number one ranking is really because he came up runner up in the two biggest payout events of the year, with the U.S. Open and World Nine Ball Championship. Like
Yeah, no,
he's not dominating like he was a year ago or whatever, a year and a half ago.
no, it's hard to. Well, I mean, Josh has had that spurt too, where he
Sure.
wasn't dominating like he had. His event here and there. It's hard to do. It's hard to do, even if you're the very top player. It's just yeah, it's just hard to maintain. The hardest thing to do then, to me, is these guys who have that thing where they've got the drive and the commitment, and they just refuse, and they get there, and it's so hard to stay there, and they learn that.
Yeah.
The really hard thing is the ones is actually coming back then and having that kind of dominance a second time, right? That's the hard thing to do, and we've seen that with so many players because it's impossible to have the same drive you had the first time.
Well, you climb the mountain, right? So, like, how can you keep yourself as motivated?
That's what makes it so hard to stay on top of the mountain. Now they're both spitting distance from the top of the mountain. Not like they drop like a brick, but
sure.
Dominance again. That's a really hard thing to duplicate once you've done it the first time. Jason Shaw had that year or two where he didn't lose anything.
Oh, Jason with the Mucci Q was like Orcolo with the Mucci Q. Jason's run with Mucci was fire years ago.
But if you knew Jason during those years and talked to him a lot during those years too, he had that fire and that drive and that commitment and that focus and clear head and whatever. And then when you get there, he's shown how hard it is to kind of duplicate. You just can't. You just can't automate. You just can't duplicate it. It's got to almost be something else that drives you, or some other reason for renewed commitment. Because that unique experience of getting there only happens once.
Yeah.
Right?
And
we
see that all the time in like professional sports and how hard it is to even get to the dance, let alone cross that finish line. And I'm not taking anything away from his U.S. Open or World Championship this past year, because that was great in their own right, but we're used to seeing Federer collect banners, and get that big bag at the end of events. You know what I mean? So, and he is held to a bit of a different standard. And I know he's still young. He's going to win many more events going forward, but it's just interesting to see, like, from a rotation standpoint, how his game's kind of shifted a little bit, or maybe the competition's kind of caught up to him to some extent. And we see that in waves, with every top athlete, every top pool player. You can't be the guy, but for so long, especially with how deep the sport is in general.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Look at Yap. What do you expect of Yap from the next year? I mean, he had
you didn't expect
a sporty run last year.
Well, he's the number one player on tour. I don't care what flawed ranking you're using. Like,
look at all the tournaments he won. He dominated the year.
Yeah,
that's going to be really hard to duplicate. Although he's that one guy who's like, I don't know, maybe he can, because he's such a practice and perfection freak.
Sure.
You don't see him getting off course.
Well, and he looks like he stays hungry, like he stays traveling the circuit, especially in Asia, which is only going to further serve your game, and I'm not blaming guys for making financial decisions staying in the US versus going out there and playing in Asia. Right. But like his, and famously, right, like he would have cheap sparring sessions with Cheng Jun-Lin, may you rest in peace, and that's how he would go and get his own blade sharpened, and it paid dividends. It's paid off, Mike, but the thing about him is that, like, even though he's been the man, because if you look at just the eyesight, right, of winning major tournaments, he is the man right now. But he's still kind of in the shadows to some extent. Like he's not, he's not crowned as the WNT #1 and blah blah blah. Even though, like, if you ask anybody on tour, he's the best guy.
Nobody's saying Fedor, Phil, Yap.
Yeah,
they still talk about
sure. Fedor, yeah, which is crazy because he ought to have more respect on his name, and he is in rotation 9-ball. He is in that same class and category, Mike, for sure. Like I don't, and furthermore, I don't think on 4-inch pockets anybody other than Fedor can go and dance with them right now. Because even Filler's 9-ball break with a referee racking on 4-inch pockets isn't been as dominating as Fedor's run has been. Even Fedor kind of falling off the cliff a little bit over the last 8-9 months. His game is still great, and I want to see them go and perform in match and majors. Don't get me wrong, because I love that higher standard of table conditions. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like he's quietly the man right now, and it's hard to imagine him falling off, because I would still, if he's playing UK Open, I'm still going to pick him. If he's picking European Open, I'm still going to pick him. Now, if he goes over to a Predator event, he's still got a pretty good shot, and he's won those events in his own right. But I don't know that I would pick him with the same consistency as I would right now, breaking in that format. And his poise on top of that, even though I don't know if you saw that viral clip of him dogging a ball hill out there in Indonesia. But it was that's one of the first human moments of Yep that you've seen, because he's turned into a closer through and through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think somebody sounded like sharked him on that one, as a photographer or something.
Yeah.
But I did see a comment here. Alex Pagulayan has won all 3.
Okay, well there you go. But he hadn't won Bigfoot then, right? But he's won all the other open event, like bank one pocket. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Yeah. And honestly, that's a cool feather in the cap. For me anyway.
Oh, no doubt about
it.
When you look at all the guys who haven't done it, who played there 10 years, 15 years, Efren, Shane, or Colo, all those guys in their fat prime, couldn't win all 3.
And you would have never pegged that skinny kid from Russia to go and be one of the best bank pull players on the planet when he first showed up when he was 17. You know what I mean? But that's just credit to. What's that?
It's you find something. You find if you've got that kind of talent, you find something new. It's like Efren learned to play one pocket in the U.S. because no one would play him doing anything else, and he just got intrigued by one pocket and loved the challenge of it because he's such a cerebral guy.
Yeah.
And then boom, best player in the world in about a year and a half.
It's insane, man.
Best player, best one pocket player ever. So it's just. Yeah, it's just you get those guys who just have that kind of talent.
He's got that talent,
and that kind of Fedor's got that kind of mind, that kind of brain too. He's a very analytical, So yeah,
I love one thing about Fedor's game that I appreciate the most, and he can be a little emotional at times, but is the way his fingers on the pulse, because the way he knows when to press or when he knows when to pull back, and he's up. And respect somebody's firepower or whatever. It's like you see it, and it's very thoughtful, and it's very underrated part of it. And I know it's hard to keep that same between the ears to be so top shelf, and that was one thing about Dennis, when Dennis would get into bad one pocket games and play long gambling matches, that I always adored and appreciated, because it was like you have to play damn near perfect pool for such a long period of time, and not even just be making the right decision in here, but then physically be able to make the right decision here, and so it's such a hard balance to go and master. And certainly Fedor's in his own, I guess in a class with Pagulayan in that regard. Mike, a lot of other great stories when it came to Derby City, but I got to tell you, man, this one was one of my favorites. Justin Hall takes down the man, by the way, in Banks in Fedor, because Fedor is the man in Banks. I didn't realize Justin had been through 6 Derby City finals. I was there for his finals in one pocket a few years ago against Billy, when Billy made a hell of an 8-and-out at Hill to win his last one pocket title at Derby City. But my heart always rooted for Justin, because I knew, and even though it was never public, I knew how much he wanted it and how much it hurt him to go and lose it. Seeing what he did out there at Fedor, against Fedor in the finals, and the manner in which he won, the resiliency that he showed in that final, was on the hill at up 2-1. I think Fedor runs 4-and-out to make it 2-2, scratches, I think 2 or 3 times at Hill. He basically had to make 7 or 8 balls in that finals rack to win. And then on top of that, you're playing in the final against Fedor. Like, it's him. You can't even make one mistake playing against that guy. And he made a collage of mistakes, got away with it, but showed the composure to keep his head and his fire still in it in that final game, Mike. Justin Hall winning the Banks title there at Derby City was special, a special thing to go and watch, Mike. Tell me you got to see that match.
It was a big deal. Deal for Justin. Who doesn't look like a lot bothers him, but I think a lot to him to get over the line, especially in that fashion against a guy like Fedor. I mean, we've seen Justin Hall lose enough of those heartbreakers where he had the shot to, where he had the opportunity to win and didn't. So it was really good to see him get through that.
It gives me goosebumps just talking about it all over again, because it really was one of those really great sports moments, like for me, because and then you hear him afterward get interviewed, and he talks about how his dad had passed away, and that it was for his dad and things like that. And it's like, man, that was so it just put the cherry on top of the victory for me, and seeing that what it meant to him, because like for some of these guys, and it's hard to like not take things for granted in life, right? But even as an athlete, right? Like we just talked about the hunger of Fedor after winning all these titles, right? So like it's hard to stay motivated and keep that same fire and intensity and all those things. When you see a guy who's come so close and faced heartbreak so many times, right? And then to get there again, and you're almost like you can't even watch, because you're like, man, don't do it again to the guy.
Again. You know what I mean? We've seen this movie before.
Don't do it to him. Not today, pool gods. And then you think like, okay, it's gonna happen again for sure, because he scratches, he does this, he shoots himself in the foot. But to play the way that he did, Mike, in that last game, and the heart that he played with, and he's not up there wearing any kind of patches or dressed to the nines like all these other professional guys. Like Justin is his own person. He's a bit of that like lost generation when it comes to pool players these days. You know what I mean? And to go out there, and that's what Derby's about. Right, like he sat out the Banks ring game, which he was signed up for, to make sure that he was like as fresh as he could be for that event. Even though I don't know how much of a hurting he put on the bar every night between then and the final. But like he did it, man. He did it, and he got himself a banner. And Justin Hall deserves to be up there with all those other great players that you see up there at Derby City, Mike. He really does.
Yeah, he does. And, you talk about the banners, and that's just the coolest thing about Derby City, right? And that's what means the most to the players. Is having a banner. So, that's definitely cool.
It was something real special. The poise, that last, whatever it was, 2 balls to get out against Fedor, and the moving game of it, because they were both playing like very conservative and very much chicken with each other at the same time, like they were, and neither one of them wanted to give the other any kind of decent look. Like there was a lot of mutual respect there when it came to how they were playing when they were playing there. When Federer wins at 2-1 to make it 2-2, I'm thinking it's a wrap. And then Justin gets up early on ball lead, scratches, and I'm like, fuck, come on, man, don't do, not like this. And even at the end, right, like when he's got that ball hanging deep in the hole, and he's got to make it and then bring the cue ball back down table, and he's trying to freeze to the rail, and he was a diamond and a half off the rail, but that was a tough shot to go in control, and Federer misses it by like the thinnest of margins. Like it rattles and then squeezes out. But I think anybody else on earth would have like hit that ball about a diamond short, and Justin Hall just steps up, hill, 4-4 in ball count, and just hits the Jordan on him, man. You know what I mean? Like center pocket. And for a guy who doesn't show like emotions a whole lot, like at least publicly, like that celebration there was
As much as
it
you're
was
gonna
epic.
get out.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, I want to end the show on SVB 41, 42 years old, whatever he is, master of the table. What this can't be real, right? Like he's not supposed to be winning this at this point of his career, right?
He's another guy who just, Derby. He's made for Derby. I mean, he that's his, and it's got to be a hell of a lot more of a grind on him now than it used to be. But
oh yeah,
still, this is his kind of tournament. Same. It was always this way with Alex. It was always this way with Efren. They're just kind of like made for this tournament. So, yeah, great to see him. Do well enough again to win Master of the Table.
I'll tell you like two funny stories, and they both happened on the same night, and it was like the day before Championship Sunday, so it would have been Saturday. And Justin Hall was hitting banks late night, 11 o'clock at night on TV table, and they were letting him go and practice some, and we hadn't really seen him in days because he's been already out of one pocket and whatever, right, and out of 9-ball. And so we see him in the elevator, and I kind of like, man, I'm rooting for you, man. Good luck tomorrow. And he says, yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can get some sleep. He's like, I may wake up about 12:20 tomorrow. And the match started at 12:30. So me and Collins got a real good laugh out of that. And then later on that night, because it was a big moving day when it came to 9-ball, a lot of things were in play, not just for the 9-ball side of it, but of course, Master of the Table. And it was like, Sky was in the mix, which he had a great run. Meglino, Hennessy both had great runs in the all around as well. And then of course, Filler has a backdoor option to steal it as well, but he needs a lot of good things to go his way. But I thought Shane was in about as good a position as you can ask for once Sky loses to Guama in the 9-ball. And about like 2:00 in the morning, me and Colin are still up, talking shit or whatever. And I get a text from Shane, and he's like, yo, and I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, did I win Master of the Table? And I said, I don't know, man. Those idiots at the tournament desk said there's still chances for X, Y, and Z to go and win, but I don't know if I believe them. I got to check the math, though. And he's like, okay. And then sure enough, I mean, he ended up winning it, and it was great. Picks up whatever it was, $25,000 on the back end. But like to do it at his age and to be, and we talk about how great Fedor and Filler are, Mike, right? And they're great. They are great players in rotation, in bank pull, and in one pocket, right? Like they're great all around players in their own right. But at 42, for the old man to still go out there and give him the business, was pretty great to go and watch, man. Like I'm a big fan of that guy. You know that as are you. But for him to go and have that run was just cool. Like really, really, really cool, especially from a fan's perspective. And I'd love to see him, parlay that into a successful 2026, even though I imagine his schedule is going to be different this year compared to years before. So we've already.
You want to look at something interesting, though. We talk about that with Shane, and 41 still doing. When Efren hit Derby City, he was over 41. He was at least 41.
His first time, you mean?
Yeah. Or no, he played in he played in the first one. He played in 99.
Yeah.
Because he won one pocket and he won the overall the first year. So he was 40-ish when he first started playing.
And then to have to be the legend that he is out there.
5 Master of the Tables after that. How's that?
That's why. Look, that's why he's the GOAT, Mike. And I don't care what anybody says. That's why he is the GOAT. But
kind of sick when you think about it. You're like, okay,
it is. Yeah, when you put it like that, yeah, it's real sick.
At 40 and won the Master Table 5 times.
And maybe a victim of the moment, right? Because we're here and we're now, and like the viewership you're able to go and get from a fan standpoint of absorbing events, then versus now. But now that's why that guy is the greatest of all time, and surely Shane's always going to be in contention as much as he wants to be, or as how emotionally invested as he is, because, at 40, whatever, like the only thing that's slowing him down is his rotation break right now, but when it comes to, and of course the schedule at Derby can be grueling in its own right. But from any other standpoint, any other metric, Mike, I mean, he's, still hitting on all cylinders, and he was very like, the cool thing about seeing, like, when Shane won Master Table is the smile. Like, it's very like a little kid, like, oh, I got it. You know what I mean? And there's always, like, when you really want something, you can really see it versus just going and collecting another check, because
It's fun to see. It's fun to see him having more fun. We saw it at Moscone.
Yeah.
He had that smile on his face. He was a different guy this year at Moscone. And I think he's finally got to the point where it's just kind of like, the heat's off him.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna play. He's just gonna play what he wants to play and what he enjoys playing in, and he's gonna enjoy it while he plays there. I'd love to see him get to that comfort level in his own career point.
Sure.
And I think he would still have a couple of good shots left in him.
I 100% agreed. And I'd love, like, when Shane can play free, Shane is still a dangerous dude in any game, in any game. Yeah. And I don't think he's like the idea of being like a puppet for this guy or that guy or whatever, right? He just wants to go play pool as he wants to. He doesn't want to feel any outside pressure to go and play PLP anymore, or play this event or play that event. You know what I mean? He just wants to do what he wants to do. And so if he can stay loose like that and out of his own head in that, and still enjoy the game, damn, man. Like, he's, I'm saying at 42, like, it's amazing, but like, I would still like his chances in the next few years to get a couple more,
Yeah.
Especially considering how the field may or may not be. So, and it's just like, even then, how young the game's gotten. I think that's why I kind of like just enjoy seeing it a little bit more. But there was so many great things, even I mentioned a few times, Meglino and Hennessy were great in this tournament as well. Nathan Wallace going deep in the 9-ball, like somebody mentioned a little bit ago. Hayden's run, J-Hall, like Derby City didn't disappoint, Mike. Me and Collins had a ton of fun out there, going out there and streaming. I want to give a big shout out to him for being my boy along the ride. All the sponsors who helped us out along there as well. I know this show kind of ran a little bit long, Mike, but there's still a lot of stuff to go and discuss. We didn't talk PLP. They announced some Reyes Cup captains. There's, that Classic Billiards event coming up. So I don't know what your schedule is like this week, Mike. But I love that.
Nice to see the PLP was able to get an American in there.
They announced the best. Well, actually, he's the number 1 ranked American on tour right now in for this season, in Thorsten Homan. So yeah, he's that. I got a lot of opinions about that event, Mike, as I'm sure you know. But
I can't wait to hear that.
Look, we'll save it for another show. If you're free tomorrow, or I think tomorrow, I'm going to do that thing with Noel, but that's going to be later on in the day. But if you're free tomorrow, I'd love to have you on. If not, then we can link up on Wednesday, and we'll chop it up a little bit more. Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. It's been a fun, long show, but much needed. And again, big shout out to all of our sponsors who help get us out to Derby City. We'll be out there at Griff's here in a couple of weeks, maybe out there at the Westgate. So we'll see all you guys.